signatures is saying, wait a minute, if what I'm seeing is right, that would mean this is taking place in the dark. Right? So when you're looking at the decay of society, that's entropy. That means it's coming to its close. So as the society starts to break down, it breaks down in a predictable pattern based on historical records. And these is all designed to function within a cycle called an age or an eon.
Mm-hmm.
Right? When people be talking about the end of the world ain't going nowhere. Your ass might, but the world ain't going nowhere.
Right.
Right? So it's not the end of the world, it's the end of a type of civilization that's no longer functional for the greater benefit of the people. So now you have a lot of teachers emerging from silence that wouldn't have never been speaking before, using alternative outlets to deliver information. Right? And these alternative outlets serve for also public notice according to the court standard. Timestamped, dated in an archivable format. Notice the agent is notice the principal. Once it's on the record, they can't delete it. They can try everything they can to cover it up, but once the people know, the people know. The gig is up. Right? But now we at the part where something got to trigger the great disclosure.
And is that on Trump's agenda? I mean, I know I don't know where he is with that, but talk was that his first go round, he had done some things. He did do some things that a lot of people seemingly were unaware of, that were more beneficial to us than a lot of folks knew. It seemed like he had done some things, but it was swept under the rug as far as public knowledge.
Yeah, well, it don't matter what he did last time or didn't do, because this time it's all coming down. It's all coming out. What was done in the dark has to come to the light. Just the age of Aquarius.
Yeah, doesn't matter how far back it was done, right? So
if the truth need to be known for the people to recover and move forward in a better social standard, then they need to know.
Right.
So if they don't understand at the beginning, you have to put it in terms that they understand. And the sad part about it is we only understand high gossip and extreme trauma. The traumatic event could be the catalytic event. And it don't look good for people that ain't got the school message yet.
Can you expound on that?
They doing everything they can to force parents to stop participating in the educational system, but the parents is determined to keep it there, which puts the children at risk to Manchurian candidates. Right. What's commonly known in MK Ultra as a hypno assassin. If you look back over the school shootings, there is almost all of them, the majority of them, was under the care of a psychiatrist or a psychologist. Many of them was on Prozac and Ritalin, one or the other or both. All of those are written about in the MK Ultra files, but most people have never read it. So they don't know that these people are being hypnotically programmed to do these nefarious things. And it leaves the parent at risk because the parent thinking they're getting their child help. And what they doing is listening to these doctors that's ruining their child in the name of healthcare, mental health. Programming them to use to do dastardly deeds in order to further the agenda of the corporation, to the detriment of the tribes. As long as we keep thinking that this is just accidentally happening and we not looking at the patterns, we won't never see the consistency in the philosophy that they using as a conquering philosophy to subjugate us. So they use the false flag event when the people don't pay attention. Then they use what they call a emotionally significant false flag event. Don't mean the event don't happen. It just means that the government had more control over the event than you could possibly imagine.
Right.
Right? And they will let people die. Your life don't mean nothing to these people.
Collateral
They
damage.
collateral damage. It's war. And they trying to fight the war using psychological methods. And that's to keep the people from realizing that they in a war and that the war is being fought against them, therefore they have no defense.
So are you saying that we, because when we talk about the the weapon is still loaded, so are we in the crosshairs of something else that we need to be more aware of, that we need to get ourselves geared up to fight this war, instead of being just a lame
It's
duck
not
out
going
there
it's not
shooting
going to
up.
play out where all of us have to participate in the fight. It's going to be so precise when they go, but the part that's to get the people to wake up is the part I'm more worried about than the aftermath fallout of the war. Because if they don't get your attention one way, they got a real evil and vile way to get your attention.
Hmm.
And it normally involves mass casualties like 9/11.
Hmm.
Right? So if once you become aware, you can do something to protect yourself. But as long as you walking around in la la land thinking everything is milk and honey, then you're gonna walk right into their traps. The reason they call them a trap because you ain't supposed to see them
Right.
till it's too late. If a bear knew what a bear trap would, he wouldn't put his foot in there.
Well, here's something. Question. Rod, it's been rumored that 350 FEMA trucks were spotted the day before yesterday in Upper Michigan. Could you talk about why that could be?
Well, it depends on which side of FEMA. FEMA right now is in the middle of a civil or internal conflict between the tribes taking over FEMA and the deep state operatives that still have access to FEMA equipment and resources, trying to use it to muscle their way back in. It ain't gonna work. They ain't gonna win. But that's what's going on with FEMA. FEMA trucks normally is transporting goods or supplies of a medical nature, or something like that, for emergency purposes. But what they are moving for in Michigan, I don't know.
Right. So there was some question that came up that I looked at one program where the lady was saying that she is a government contractor, and as such gets a chance to read, when they put out for the various things that the government's contracting for, and that the government was doing, trying to get those that could build these what will seem like FEMA camps. But what I've been questioning lately in the East Coast, in this area, and I don't know whether it's happening where any of you all are out there, let me know. They're building around here, in the Delaware, uh, in New Jersey area in particular, because that's the place I've been traveling. These massive, what looks like storage facilities, or places where warehouses that look like they're like half a football field length, and they're putting these, and they're taking all the land that was farmland, and they're putting up these. I'm thinking, what do they have to store that they would build these huge? They have the big bays, but that's the bays could be where they back a truck up that has, or one of those things they call it containers and whatever. What in the heck? I don't know if they do it. If anybody where you are, they're building all of these warehouses, and I just feel like somehow there's a nefarious reason behind these massive warehouses. I mean, coming up like Like
Okay,
it's
one thing that you got to take into account, Dr. G, is when they do martial law and they shut everything down, ain't no grocery stores gonna be open.
hmm
And the National Guard is gonna be responsible to feed people, and they have the food resource, the same resources they had when they started Focus Hope. You remember how they had all of that food stockpile? Well,
I
they've been
remember.
preparing through this is one of the FEMA initiatives for the continuity of government process. They've been preparing to shut the old government down. And when that shut down, the bank shut down, it's going to be a period of time before the new system becomes active.
So you
During that,
saying this gonna be food storage or supply storage places or
it's possible. It could be both food and supplies because the National Guard is going to be going door to door delivering rations to people who don't. You have the people that was preppers, but most people wasn't.
hmm
So the one of the FEMA resources that was used was to be able to create a resource network to feed people for the martial law period.
when do you think feel that the martial law will actually go into effect? Where
Whenever
do you
this
see it?
false flag event take place, I don't know what it is or when it's going to happen. But if you look at the stars, you can get a good clue.
hmm
I haven't looked recently to see when a significant catalyzing event should be taking place according to the alignment. But I know right now we going through a whole lot of energy transfer and convergence. So we're
hmm
seeing a lot of things come back full circle, but they don't look the same when they come back. They look the same but different,
Okay.
right? So, but once it comes through, it's through. But the people don't want to become aware enough where the significant catalyzing event, the shock and awe, is not required. They still walk around in la la land. They
hmm
still thinking that presidential elections is real. And they still thinking that celebrity is important people when all they is for entertainment.
That's right.
They just as effed up as most of us, if not worse. Most of them worse. The average person don't want to be involved in those shenanigans. Not on their own accord. You need to be coaxed into some of that stuff, right? You need to be put in the middle of a peer group of a whole bunch of depraved individuals to compel you to participate in the depravity. That's why they isolate who they bring around. They know what they doing. We
Hmm.
just don't know what they doing enough to protect ourselves from them doing it to us, or we wouldn't keep sending our children talking about we gonna make them a celebrity
Yeah.
with no parental supervision. I'm just gonna give my kid to this person. I ain't don't know him from Iraq and Iraq because he a producer. What is he producing? No, I'm not doing it. You want my son to sing? I'm gonna be sitting right there in the studio with him, especially when he an underage singer.
hmm
And if you're a grown man, he already know how to protect himself because I'm gonna teach him. But if he a child, I'm not Bieber age, Usher age, no Lil Wayne age. No, nigga, you not taking my child. I don't know you like that. Them kids was too young to be put in that um
Situation. Yeah.
piranha tank.
Yeah. I saw
Oh,
another thing. I didn't know what going on, but there was a I forgot what's called the rap game. Looking at some old things, and it actually was what is that guy's name? Oh my God, he's a producer. He went with Janet Jackson for a little while. Oh my
talking about
gosh,
Jermaine Dupri.
Jermaine Dupri, and I was like, oh my goodness, he had children, but lots of their parents seemed to have been there. But when I was telling an individual about his history with, um, I believe it was Crisscross. The group was called Crisscross, and the one young man ended up, you know, deleting himself. They didn't believe me. Oh, that's just a bunch of. I said, okay, whatever. You think these people are, that they're so morally right in a corrupt system. It's almost impossible to be not to be corrupt because of the system was designed for that. It was designed from corruption. So we, like you said, we I don't think too many people are maybe looking to get their children into entertainment now with all of the publicity. Maybe now that it's out.
You still got people look at their child as a cash cow and don't see him as their child.
Well, they something that in sports. I mean, because I got a grandson that my son's, but he's good, but it's really good. But I don't, maybe he wants to be something else, not because those things, it's a whole bunch of good players out there. You know what I mean? So what, stimulating the brain, the mind, create something and all that. Everybody aspiring to be, a hooper or, to be a quarterback to get, $200 million contract. I mean, those things aren't even gonna matter soon. Anyway.
So ain't everybody in power or in pseudo power has to come out of their positions of pseudo power.
Mhm.
In order for the old system to be overthrown, everybody that looked like they was on top, they got to
Got it.
be at the bottom. They got to all come down from high and mighty to be lowly and regular like us. Because we all have the same portion of divine spark that got us breathing on earth. And anybody that don't got it, when that solar flare and that Schumann resonance decide to purge, they won't be here.
Hmm. Well, somebody's asked. A couple of people are asking you to talk about the scandal in the Vatican. I think but and then somebody also said, "Can you talk about Archbishop of Canterbury resigns over scandal, views Rome is falling?" And then somebody else said, "What's going on in the Vatican?" I don't know if those are the same. Do you
Well,
have any?
the Archbishop of Canterbury is over the Church of Canterbury. That's not the Catholic Church. They was created under King, I think his name was King George. The no, that wasn't his name. King Henry, I think it was. He was a notorious eater, but he wanted to get a divorce. The Pope wouldn't let him, so he created the Church of Canterbury and installed his own Pope as the Archbishop of Canterbury.
Oh, okay.
But that's also a bunch of historical codes for the modern narrative in order to see something that's different. Like Chief Pontiac Castle on Joslin in Lake Orion is called Canterbury Castle.
Oh, there's a capsule with teapot. Okay, okay.
Right. So it was several of them. One in Rochester, but this one in Lake Orion. And it's called Canterbury Castle. They say we wasn't no royalty on the land. BS. We ain't went nowhere. We just had to fight this war and go through this amnesia and try to remember who we was so we could tell our people about the lies they told. So they can break their mind free from the psychological programming. One of the things I was studying is the deprogramming of cult victims. The hardest thing to get a programmed cult victim to do is think outside of the paradigm of the cult. And the government is its own cult,
Mm.
and it uses the media, the news, the TV shows, the radio stations, the programming selection. Is all of that is used to control how people respond in the society. Those are called social control mechanisms. You don't have to control every individual, control the flow of the group. Because according to Gustave Le Bon, author of The Crowd, if you can control the antagonist and the protagonist, you can control the whole crowd with the least amount of effort. In other
Yeah,
words, they
he said
leaders,
both sides.
Yeah. So you got the leader and the anti-leader.
Mhm.
Anti-leader telling everybody to be your own leader, but most people not leaders, so they don't know what you're talking about. You just sound like you're saying something cool, but it don't apply to their life.
Mhm.
The real leader is trying to tell them how to make it apply to the life they live in order to live their best life. Right? So the anti-leader condemning them for not being leadership material so that they won't need a leader. But the leader is telling them you can lead your life from where you at. All you got to do is project in your mind where you want to go. You got a built-in GPS system for success,
Yeah.
but you have to control your own narrative.
And that is so true. That is so true. I shared with you that you gosh, I guess did a little excerpt from my book that I'm working on, and that's what it speaks to. It speaks to that, and I'm gonna just share with you all. It says this is an excerpt from my book. It's coming from you are everything and nothing and or no thing. Your idea of the world is everything, and at any time that changes, your worldview changes. With what you think at birth, you don't know you're a blank canvas that can become an artistic masterpiece or a ghoulish nightmare, or that you are raw potential and endless possibility. What makes the difference is who or what applies the brushstrokes of your life, your being. The final nugget of truth is that you are what you let or allow yourself to become. And so you know, that's a reality that most folks don't exercise because we're so programmed by who and what we can be and who we are that we never step out of the boundaries that have been placed. Like you said, when the Catholic Church said, "Give me the child," in the first 7 years, and I'll show you the man. Let me paint the canvas of his or her life. And we got to get to the place where we teach the children, instruct the children that they are the artists and that they can write the canvas and paint the canvas of their own lives and make decisions. Not go to school and be told, oh, you don't have to be what you were born, and be encouraged to follow the what is it, the herd mentality, like lemmings. They all going off the ledge together. Don't know why the first one might have been depressed and despondent, but everybody else is just following the leader into destruction. And so we have been, as a people, we have been indoctrinated and regimented into certain, constraints, and folks are afraid. And when they do try to get out of it, like that old crab in the barrel syndrome, you always got the other ones like pulling them down. We don't want you can't get out, you can't leave us. But yes, you can, and you must. We're gonna have to get some folks to get out and lead the way to some level of victory. So yeah, I mean, it's so important. Mindset. Let me see. Oh, what? I'm just looking. They were talking about some other folks that just so is there anything going on in the Vatican in addition to the Church of Canterbury that's
I haven't seen anything recently that I'm aware of.
unless folks thought that the Bishop of Canterbury was attached to the Vatican.
That's possible because a lot of people don't know that it's a whole separate system of church based off of this divorce dispute.
Mm, okay. See. Oh yeah, so there were some questions on here about the fact that they said, and I can't find it, y'all, but a couple people put on touch to the fact that Musk said that he was going to, I guess, file for to own the United States. Um, and I mean, it's up for the owning. It's a corporation, right? Can he come in a corporation? So I mean, it's not the country. It's the corporate entity, right?
That's all it is.
And so it's not the land, it's the corporation in 10 square miles we call Washington, D.C.
When we staked that totem pole in 2017, we reclaimed that 10 square miles for the tribes.
Okay.
That was the purpose of the totem pole ceremony.
Mhm.
This has been an ongoing process of different people across the land doing different parts, right? And that's why I be showing them so many receipts, because I got to show them all these people is doing a part. And when you put it all together, it shows the working together of the tribes by every one of the chiefs that's doing the work. They just doing their part. And then somebody got to tie it all together and show y'all where they at in order for you to go get the receipts. But people keep taking sides, and as soon as they take sides, they get stuck in dogma.
Yeah.
You just need the receipt. You don't need to take a side,
Right.
because it's trickery. And the only way for the trick to work is you got to select one of the false sides they gave you. They gave us a whole dodo bird, told us it was an eagle. Left wing, right wing, dodo bird.
uh, this is okay. Greetings. Um, is it safe to say DJT is soon to become president of the republic since the U.S. corporation is defunct?
He was the president of the republic the first time he was elected. The Biden Harris administration was an interim stalling session to give them enough time to run the military operations of rounding up the dirty players, the deep state.
And we have, that's what I was talking about earlier. You know, the people that went to the, is it called GT or Gitmo or whatever they call it, are those, we haven't seen certain folks. So I mean, I think it's odd that for particularly in Hollywood, there's been a lot of missing
Celebrities.
celebrities that used to be. Every time something came out, they were in it. Now you have all these like, who's that? Who's that? I mean, they're newbies
Look,
coming on board.
all you
Like,
gotta
what
do
happened?
is think about it. Where John Kerry at? Why he ain't help Kamala with her campaign? He is
What
one
is?
of the premier Democrats, ain't he?
I guess.
You know, he ran against Bush.
Oh, Carrie. Carrie.
Yeah.
I thought you said Jim Carrey. John Carrey. Yeah, I
Mhm.
don't know where he is. Where is he?
Yeah.
He
Okay.
got Mo.
Right. Why we ain't heard nothing from Jeb or Joe or George? Where they at?
Look, they get those letters at the funeral, those little note cards
Yeah,
telling them
yeah, they got the
that,
letters.
that was their invites. Their tickets. Maybe they were given tickets to get well.
You used to have a whole lot of people from all around, all the senators and congressmen used to lobby for their party.
Hmm.
You remember that? That was only a couple of elections ago.
We still have them here locally, but I don't know where.
Right.
I
But
know.
the majority of the cast of characters, right, they ain't showing up. Listen, the chairman of the Federal Reserve was told by the Trump administration to resign. He
This
said he not.
time,
Yeah, this just happened like in the last 2 days.
okay.
All right. He said he not going to resign because Trump don't have the capability to compel him to resign. His ass going to Gitmo.
Okay.
The Federal Reserve was the bankers that was waging the war. They told us that. I went over that on Young Elder channel when on my what Patriots Need to Know video, because most of us don't know. They declared war on us, but they didn't tell us. So we don't know that they fighting a war against us while we going about our day to day. The
Well, it
war not
seems
new.
like a war is going on, especially when you look at the immigrant situation. Like some folks say, "Well, damn, I need to leave, come back in, and with no papers, and be
Look,
and declare myself."
election
Yeah.
election results came in, and within 24 hours, it's a tentative talks for the Russian-Ukraine truce. The resistance in Gaza is offering peace to the Israelis. The Israeli government, they go into prison too.
Mm.
I want to chop the head of what's their president name? Netanyahu. I want to be the one pull the lever on his guillotine.
Well, somebody says, what's going to happen with the illegal immigrants being that Trump said he will deport them? Do you think think they will be a problem?
No, look, you got to people not paying attention. Nobody don't just up and leave home and take their whole family on a promise. No common sense adult. Them people running from something, right?
Hmm.
And whatever they running from, they coming over here trying to get some kind of security. They feeding us another narrative, like them people would rather be at home safe than having to run up here.
But what about the people that are here that don't have housing, that are unhoused, that are unfed, that are getting medical attention, they just folks and they from here. What about those folks with all these new people?
When the new system come online, everything gonna be free damn near. Healthcare. The new healthcare technologies is gonna be on display at the World's Fair. And
Oh,
some of
there's
that
a new
stuff
word
gonna blow
there.
people mind. Yeah, the
There's a new
Iowa
word
World
there
Fair coming up.
in Iowa.
Yeah.
Well, way out there.
I've been telling people this for like 5 years. About 2.5 years ago, Trump came out and announced it, and people was like, "Trump just announced what you've been saying." I call it Mardi Gras. I call it National Mardi Gras. He called it the 250-year national celebration.
Hmm. Somebody wants to know what kind of formulation do we have with South America?
South America, that look like legendary Top Cat right there.
Oh.
You got different countries in South America, and once the tribes back in charge, our diplomatic relations is going to be so much better than they is under this corporate tyranny we under.
Hmm.
They under the same corporate tyranny. That's why the CIA assassinated Chavez because he wasn't buying it. Anybody that was resistant to the corporate domination of their land, the U.S. government sent the CIA to execute them or orchestrate their execution or assist in a coup to overthrow them. We over here in La La Land not knowing that these people using our name to do their dirt around the world. Laurent
You know
Kabila.
our name or our individual, what the names that they
No,
created.
the using the country's name.
Okay.
Before 1492, the United States had a reputation around the world as being send us your orphans, your downtrodden, and your lost so we can help repair their soul. This was like a religious mecca to the rest of the world. This was Atlantis capital in Arizona. But after the Anunnaki Wars and everything was decimated and they started rebuilding, they come with this out of Africa story. But the people was created over here. The laboratories that they was creating people was in Teotihuacan, right?
South America.
So if they don't know that, then they're gonna be stuck on that out of Africa theory to justify the false narrative of the people that want to control them. The oldest human remains they told us was Lucy in the Odevar gods, but she wasn't even a human. She was an Australopithecine, right? Which is supposed to be like a pre-human prototype.
Hmm.
It was humans walking around contemporary with Lucy, but they lived thousands and thousands of years, so they don't have burial sites that's common. Normally, their burial sites became some type of shrine, right? And now all of those ancient shrines, they still here.
Are they in the
And they
Grand
tell
Canyon
you,
in places, Ohio,
yeah,
mounds?
that's what
Yeah.
a lot of the mounds became ritual sites based on it being a burial site of an ancestor, a specific ancestor. That's why they all over the land and they ain't just concentrated in one spot, because it's not one bloodline of ancestor. It's several bloodlines of many ancestors.
And are they as large as they are because the people were large?
No, well, they use them and then they exalt the place of the burial
Okay,
because
over.
the ancestor is hereby being exalted. This is what gave rise to the concept of the construction of energy centers in the form of pyramids, because we was using the kinetic energy and the resonant frequency of the ancestor to calibrate us to a certain pitch. It's just like going to get your radio adjusted to get rid of the static so you can hear a clear channel. And we use those locations, and sometimes we had set up temples on top of them. Sometimes the temple was at the base of them, but all of the different cultures is not the same. You had different tribes that did their thing differently, but it had a similar appeal to it across the land. Right. So every family had a part of the family responsible for taking care of the deceased, the family death doula.
Okay.
Right. And that family was normally kept that tradition and became the mortuary, the funeral home owners in modern times.
Yes. Wow. That's a yeah. But we're at a place now. Um, somebody says I need to get. Where did I see that? Yeah, I'll probably get that. Need to, I was looking for the. It said somebody said I need to get you and the legendary Top Cat on here together. So I need to figure out how to get in touch with him.
Top
I know
cat,
how
top cat, woo, they think my memory,
to.
my
I
memory,
need
okay.
to get that.
Dude. And then me and him and Dane had to get a chance, got a chance to talk. And it was just so refreshing talking to somebody that actually knew what you was talking about.
Right, right.
And when you discussing the history of our people, they actually know what I'm talking about. So I might say something, and then Top Cat might drop the case in law that's referring to it, or the legislation or the treaty. Right. The only way I do that, I be thinking about something and I said, which treaty was that? And then I gotta go look the treaty up. He called it right up. Some
Yeah.
of them I remember because they so use so much that I have to remember them because I'm using them so often they just stick out.
Well, I have to get you both. I have to. I know how to get in touch with you. I have to, you know, see if I can get his information. I'm pretty sure if I can't, if you don't have it, I'll get it from Sister Freedom.
Yeah, Sister Freedom get right in touch with him because that's who I was gonna call.
Yeah,
We get in
Sister
touch
Freedom.
with him. Sister Freedom,
Sister Freedom. Yeah, yeah, she know everybody.
Sister Freedom don't play.
No, she and I've been buddies and colleagues for years and years, and she look. We live here in the same town, so I can call her up or go to her house and say, "Give me that information." But what do you recommend for and before and I want you. What do you recommend if you have any recommendations for those listening and those who will be listening to this to do going forward? I know a lot of folks, we try to take our hands off the selection process and stuff. But how should we be functioning in
My
under?
my biggest concern is when they declare martial law that
Mhm,
the teenagers, teenage boys that like to be out on the block, their
mhm.
parents have enough sense talked into them to stay out them people way, because they got some real horrible people, and I really would hate to see them get caught up in somebody else's cleanup.
Right. So what you're recommending is that parents have a sit down talk with their children to say, look,
Yeah,
when this thing happened, this is serious, and this is they taking no prisoners. They taking you
because
out.
one of the things they're gonna be arresting, a lot of these police gonna shoot back at them because they think they untouchable. They think they the closest living thing to God. So when they tell them that you under arrest, the police gonna be like, you can't arrest me, I'm gonna arrest you. And that's gonna be problems in some places, especially some of these good old boys departments down in the holler.
Mm.
But that's why I did that video, what patriots need to know, because they need to know who they cleaning up. They not coming for us. They coming to get all of them dirty judges and them crooked states attorneys and DAs and bar members. That's who they coming to get. And some of them people so rich, they got private military, so you need special forces. Because the National Guard, under their regular training, is not qualified to deal with a lot of these private militaries that's probably better trained than half the militaries of the world. So you need specialists.
Yeah.
And that's why I
So
was talking
I
about
know we
that
have
law they
seen those
passed earlier.
movies lately. There's a lot of movies, like I said, with these folks I never heard of, but most of these movies are like these military special ops things. They go in here and they got an elite team of folks, and I hadn't even paid attention to them, but maybe I need to pay more attention because maybe all of them are coming out like that because they're saying, look, you could be, caught up in and people get caught up in the crossfire of these because they're in pursuit of their target, and anybody in the way, collateral damage.
Yeah. And but you gotta remember this. It's not gonna be the National Guard fault that the police run into crowds of people trying to get away. Because they already know what they doing. They already know they ain't supposed to be here. The ones that actually study what they manuals and handbooks say,
Mm.
you know. So when they get to rounding them up, I got the same amount of sympathy for them they've been having for us for the last 450 years, 500 years. They ain't had no sympathy for us. I got that same amount of sympathy for them. They
Wow.
created the condition, so the condition they created, they have to suffer for their own indiscretions. That's not my problem, and it's not ours.
Yeah.
We just don't want
Wow.
our children to get caught in the crossfire.
So need to school them. Do you think they're going to actually get rid of or shut down TikTok? Like, what's the plan? I mean, like I think they made some legislation that they had to either sell or to somebody, I guess, that was from
Look,
America.
if they have to sell TikTok to somebody that live over here, Elon Musk gonna buy it.
That's what I figured, but I was wondering because a lot of information comes out through TikTok. I don't know where the negative part is because I don't see those things, but the stuff I see, these young people, mainly young people of all ethnicities, are putting out truth bombs. They dropping truth bombs right and left, and they destroying a lot of the narratives that we've been, indoctrinated to. And I don't know where they're getting it from, but I'm glad they're getting it. I'm like, well, they gonna do with this going because then other people compile these little snippets and put it together on their YouTube page, and we get to see all these things. And I think that with more people see these things, it'll help more people at least think about maybe I've been lied to, maybe I've been bamboozled, maybe I need to study deeper than what my the school said, the church said, my mom and them said. And do you think we're going to see full disclosure with regard to like supposedly extraterrestrials and the different interterrestrial ones that live inner Earth and
Whatever it is, whether they
interdimensional?
extraterrestrials, whether they intergalactic beings, whether they future humans coming back to the past, whether they from Shambhala in the center of the earth, we about to see something. I don't know where they came from. I don't really care. I'm more concerned about us on the ground than the people that's gonna be coming out the sky. How they got up there, I don't know. Where they coming from, I don't know. But I know they're gonna show up because they've been showing up already.
Mm,
And when the Pentagon tell you they here letting off ships, you should probably consider that they might be finally coming out with a disclosure.
mm-hmm.
And then they use for credibility. A Harvard professor verified it on a peer review.
Oh wow.
So they saying somebody up there,
or yeah, or out there interdimensionally,
wherever they from, they here.
Mm.
Because the government don't just tell you they here if because they want to keep it covered up long as they can. Now they telling you they here.
Here somebody says, we are here. That's a disclosure right here on the channel. They're here. Oh wow, wow, wow,
Mhm.
wow. Listen, so it's like 1,400 folk on the channel, and I want to make sure that we don't leave without addressing, the how our Grand Sheik is doing. You know,
Mhm.
I want to make sure that that you all know, first of all, that we appreciate everyone who has given to the GoFundMe, whether you're giving via GoFundMe or PayPal or Zelle or whatever Cash App. We appreciate the fact that there are those of you who care enough that are not going through the, well, why is he got this, and why we wish he had those things and we didn't have to ask anybody to do anything. But the truth be told, he didn't have any medical insurance. He's not on the grid. He's off the grid. He hadn't had, any type of examinations and medical interactions for over 50 years, you know, and we're trying to help him preserve him, because and you and I talked about what people thought you were trying to retire him, but you're saying no. You said that a while ago. He's done a lot. He's done so much. He should be able to do what he wants to, which means if he didn't want to teach anymore, he doesn't have to, because he's put a lot out there. But now we've come to a place where he has lost sight in his left eye, one which is one of the issues what he has with his eyes, and in trying to make sure he doesn't lose sight in the right eye. He's had some oral. He has a surgery coming up on Friday, oral surgery. He has some medical, general overall. People are reaching out, and he's getting care. We're able with what people have given to help us, be able to, I know we don't pay, but pay for those services of those doctors, trying to go to doctors that are more holistic and so forth. But and to be honest, some of the things that he needs done, it speaks to specialist care and surgery, and so forth. So I did put an update on the GoFundMe page, for anybody who wants to participate and to give. I think I want to make sure I put it up here. If you this right here, if you want the links to donate via either Cash App, Zelle, straight from the GoFundMe page, if you text the word donate to this number, then I will send you the links. I will say there was Brother Darnell, if you're listening, I think out in Cali, a brother sent a money order for 300 notes. I'm just hoping he's on here and he sees this, but he actually sent the receipt and kept the money order. So he tore it from me. I hope he didn't throw it away. But Brother Darnell, you know who you are that sent the 300 notes. What do you call it? What did I say? Money order. But you sent us the wrong end. You sent us the receipt part and the receipt where he paid for it, but he kept the money order. So he needs to make sure he didn't throw that away, and maybe he wants to send us the actual money order. But we appreciate everything that anybody has done. Some people have been mailing donations either here or down to the headquarters in Maryland territory where he is, and Prime Minister is making sure he gets to his appointments and so forth. And I don't expect to have him back on the show, through the end of this year, because the surgeries and things he needs to rest. You know what I mean? He absolutely needs to rest, because if some people who have his number, some folks are calling him. I know they've taken his phone away from him. He gets it back every now and then, but because he'll have a long drawn conversation with somebody, and it sounds normal, but he needs the
Not
rest.
feeling well. Yeah. Remember,
Yeah,
I said that because I know people like Taj. Taj don't trust the system, right?
mhm,
And
right.
then he's doing what's called the work from the heart. So he
Mhm,
suffered from the same thing as a lot of caregivers, where he's so
mhm,
busy trying to get a message out and educate people that you forget to take care of yourself.
right, right,
A lot of
right,
mothers, this is why you had sister groups. A lot of mothers get into the caregiver syndrome too, become stressed out and can't handle their kids no more, become abusive because they don't
mhm,
have no outlet. They don't have no recovery time. Well,
right,
he
right.
need to recover. Let the man
Absolutely.
let
He
the
needs the
man
rest.
recover. Yep.
Yeah,
And this is what I was talking about because I know how he is, so I can't tell him to go see one of these doctors when he don't trust them.
right, right. So yes, we're trying to get some. There's been some. I think his some of his physicians that he's been seeing are like Muslim, Islamic, some folks that because Prime Minister was a is and is a registered is a retired nurse, but and an herbalist. So after having worked in that field, she kind of knows, and she grew up. She's one of the few people I know who's grown almost as me, and was born knowing she was a Moor. That's she grew up in a Moor. She's never been anybody else. She didn't change any name or anything when she was born. That's the the name she was given, and so she's always in the vein of what's holistic and what's versus what might she doesn't he can't take it. She's not letting him have anything that got gelatin capsules in it, whether regardless of what's inside it, if it's good in there, if it's in gelatin, she's make sure he's not. She's very holistic. So taking him to when we checked into the cost for the eyes and the surgery, we're looking at 30 to $120,000 when you have his kind of problem and no insurance, and he's they already determined that he is blind in the left eye. Whether or not they're gonna be able to restore it, I don't know. But all I know is right now it's about him resting and getting himself together. He's gonna see his 89th, 89th, and put 10 more years, 79th solar return, February 14th, and we want him to enjoy it, and be maybe have the surgeries past him. Maybe hopefully he'll be able to get the eye surgery and stuff taken care of before then, we're hoping. So, just wanted to give you all an update on that and keep sending positive energies. We've had our naysayers, we've had folks, creating videos and saying we're doing a hoax, but there's no way in the world I would come out here and try to coax people into, giving their hard-earned fiat for a lie that can be easily verified. You know what I mean? There's no way, and so we
And then some people think if you walk in the righteous path that your health is supposed to stay pristine and pure. That's not the case.
yeah,
You got a lot of people that try to do what's right and end up with debilitating illnesses because of the society we live in is geared toward us becoming ill.
right.
You know, so
And he doesn't. He's like you said. He works so hard. He hasn't paid attention to him. He wants to fix everybody else's stuff, and he was letting himself go and not say and too proud. I think sometimes especially men, y'all tend to be proud, about your and he first of all, I'm hoping that he gets delivered from Dollar Tree snacks, and I know he's not getting them down where he is because that he loves Dollar Tree snacks. You know what I mean? And he doesn't eat a lot of things, but he may just eat fish, something like that, but not a lot of anything else nutritionist. He's nutritionist, so he's nutritious rather. So now he's getting the three nutritious meals. He's getting fed as a vegan, so he's getting a vegan diet, and he's not going Dollar Tree, and he's not putting Dollar Tree eye drops in his eyes, which I'm pretty sure have contributed to this situation. But just wanted to give you all an update, all right, on what's going on. And like I said, totally appreciate everybody's suggestions and recommendations and your love and your fiat that you're sending. Your love. Thank you. I did put an update on the GoFundMe channel. So on the GoFundMe channel, on the GoFundMe page. So I did put an update there yesterday, and we'll be doing updates periodically. But like I said, keep him in your thoughts and prayers because he is going to have some oral surgery on Friday, and we make sure hopefully he's not in a lot of in any pain. Hopefully, from that surgery. Somebody who's not been in that kind of care for so long, everything.
Was never a slave, and now you don't have a reason to be at the bottom, and you still at the bottom. But then you realize you was at war, and during the time of war, you in a warlock. I mean, Big Mama Bank is closed. She don't support the conflict between nations of people. So now you have to create an artificial currency to float your system, a fiat dollar. In order to continuously steal from the people, you got to figure out a way to maintain control as the inflation eat that fiat dollar up. So your 5-cent candy bar is $1 and something now, right? Fractional reserve banking is the tool that causes the inflation. The inflation amount is decided by something called the Fed. Remember Alan Greenspan? He should come over here and he'll tell you what the adjusted interest rate is. Who is he talking to? He ain't talking to me because I ain't got no deal with that motherfucker. Who he talking to? Right? He's talking to the Senate, the Congress, and the interim government. If y'all keep running this scam, this government scam, we're going to have to raise the interest up because the circulation of the money slowing down. And the money slowing down decreases the value of the dollar. It increases if it circulates. And this is the black labor, white wealth, circulate the dollar in your community telling you, Dr. Claude Anderson. You're on mute, sir.
Yeah, I was saying that's Claude Anderson there. Well, you see what this brother La got up, 1898, Illuminati, Masonic History, Freemason, Rosicrucian, Occult, Knights Templar.
Mm-hmm.
I guess you must have said something that made him put that up, put that in there. You must have said something that hit him,
Yeah.
But what I want to do right now, because see, you're just like, to me, in the sense of dealing with the occult science, you're like Dr. Leonard Jeffries when he's dealing with history, because all you got to do is set the camera up, put it in front of him, and you can go take a trip to Brooklyn. You can go around and come back, and he'll still be dropping that knowledge. That's how you are, brother. If we was face to face, I could just put the camera right here, go run my errands, come back, and you still dropping that knowledge, brother. It's
You
like
say Dr. Leonard Jeffries?
Yes, Dr. Leonard Jeffries. That's how I do with Dr. Jeffries.
Hey,
I
look.
just put the camera in
Look,
front of him and
stop,
just let him
stop.
go.
Pump the brakes, pump the brakes, pump the brakes.
Okay.
When you want to compliment a brother in his skill set, you couldn't pick the better person.
Okay.
That's more flattering. Uh, I can't even explain it. They don't know. I don't know. Some of these people might not know who he is. But it's like making me tear up that comparison is being made.
But it's real though, brother. I'm being real with it because I see how you flowing. And when I sit in front of Dr. J, when he come to my house or I go to his house, I just put the camera up and just let him flow, man. And that's the way I see you.
That's like telling Kobe, you remind me of Mike when you play.
Right.
That
Yeah.
you don't know. Like some people might not know the magnitude of Dr. Jeffrey.
Mm-hmm.
Man, you made my day. If I was close to you, I'd hug you right now.
All right, let me go here right quick. Because I made a flyer already and I put everything that we're going to talk about. And so I was looking for the questions. We're going to get into necromancy right now. And what is your definition of necromancy?
Necromancy is the ability to communicate with the souls on the other side.
Have you ever communicated with the dead?
I talk to my mom all the time.
Oh, okay. Some
Yeah.
people look at that as spookism, but I agree with you. You can, you know.
So I know the mechanical operations of how and why it works. So it's not spooky to me.
All right, talk about that.
Okay.
What can you share? What can you share? Uh, or can you share any account of necromancy in history? Let's start there.
Yeah, when they say Jesus was talking to Abraham and Moses on the Mount of Olives.
Right, but I'm talking about real people though, not
Oh,
mythology.
real people. Well,
Yeah.
you got Madame Laveau was known for it.
Oh, okay.
You know, it's a go to New Orleans and ask them about talking to their ancestors because we don't call it talking to the dead. We
Right.
communicate with ancestors.
Well, I'm gonna tell you right now, I have done it for like damn near 20 years. I've done it for 20 years on 125th Street because before I even make a dollar, when I'm out there and I'm doing my work, before I make a dollar, I always pour libation and I talk to the ancestors and bring on them spirits to protect me from the wicked, evil demons and it worked. For 20 plus years, I've been protected out there on 125th Street,
So
and I was going
let me
crazy.
tell
I
you
was
the
going
mechanics of what's
crazy out
taking
there.
place.
Yes, police roll up on me. I was protected, brother. Trust me, they would just, back up on all that. This is real talk.
So
So it's
the
real.
mechanics of how it works.
Go ahead.
In your DNA, you have little micro radio stations.
Hmm.
Each radio station is a channel of an ancestor that's your direct lineage. They might have been dead thousands of years, but they still have a little radio station in your DNA to communicate with you from a non-local location. You have to know how to tune the radio channel in for the purpose, and then the ancestor that's responsible on your DNA coding to serve that purpose when you call them into action, they don't have nothing else to do when they with you but to serve that purpose. So when you give libations, you acknowledge them.
Hmm.
When you acknowledge them, remember, water is the physical representation of spirit. And so when you pour the water for libations, you are actually opening up a channel of spirit into the 3D world by which the energy can be tuned in to your ancestor that's responsible for you in the regard that you tuning in for. So once they get activated, they create a communication network with all other things around you, both things you see and things you don't. And say, this, I'm here, I'm serving this purpose, I'm protecting my child. Because to them, your ancestors, you still their child, right? But to your religious world, you God's child. But it's the same thing. Because without your ancestors, you wouldn't be here. Take one out of the equation and it's a different person sitting where you sitting.
Hmm.
And that don't matter how far you go back, and it don't matter what their ethnic background was. Take one out of the equation and it's not you no more. Because that particular channel is no longer on your DNA in order for them to send enough frequency in to put their imprint into your auric field, what we call your spirit body. So the spirit body that's built up might be close to you, but it ain't you because you got one missing, right? This is why the double helix was represented by the two serpents because it's always between the genetic code, right? The genetic code is the frequencies of the ancestors that you have the ability to access in the blood right and the birthright to access. Once you put this into motion, right, then you don't have worries. I'm protected. And I used to think my mama was crazy when I was a teenager because I didn't want to hear that because that nigga hit me upside the head with a rock. You understand what I'm saying?
Mhm.
But it could have been worse, right? He could have shot me instead of hitting me with the rock. I
Right,
didn't want to look at it like that. You know what I mean?
right. Have there been any notable legal cases involving necromancy?
Only in the
That you,
Salem witch trials.
okay, that's it.
Yeah. They probably got a couple more, but I can't think of none right off. They tried to
Okay,
say that Manson was into necromancy, but he wasn't. They tried everything to villainize that man. He was just trying to tell us they was trying to start a race war to keep the people divided so they can win in the end.
all right. We got a hell of a movie coming out. This movie is going to be bad, man. And I think you know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Gladiator with Denzel Washington. I can't wait for that to drop. Gladiator 1 was awesome. Gladiator 2. And so let's talk about blacks in ancient Rome. Talk to us about the blacks in ancient Rome. And,
I
I
think you
didn't
need
really
to
know.
first tell me about the pale face in ancient Rome.
All
Because
right, go
Rome
ahead.
was
Let's deal with
started by
that.
Etruscan Moors. All of those whitewashed
I'm going to go
figures
get some water. Keep talking, brother.
all of those whitewashed figures that they telling us was emperors of Rome wasn't what they look like. And if they look like that, you can't tell their skin complexion by the stone carvings. All of those Etruscan Moors that started Rome, them was niggas. And they was the ones who put together your Bible and your social control structures, your Plato's Republic and your Dante's Inferno. All that was under the Roman Empire in order to keep people under their control. It's to continue. America is a continuation of the Roman Empire, right? So, I'm looking to see if I got any questions in here while I go. Yeah, so the early Romans were dark skinned Romans. They was whitewashed in the history books to push a whitewashed historical agenda for a purpose of usurping and controlling a group of people by creating a caste system predicated upon skin tone as opposed to predicated upon like profession. Like in India, it's predicated upon your family's profession. They normally have a profession and that tell you if they working class, priest class, or Aryan royal class. And so the caste system that they use in the conquest of the Americas, Africa, the Near East, Middle East, and the rest of Europe, they use the skin-based caste system, but no only over here did they go above and beyond in full throttle application of it. And in South Africa, in a lot of those countries, they went full throttle with the skin-based caste system using the military strength of Europe in order to enforce it. But that was what the Catholic Church called it, the white man's burden. It's popularized by a play by a guy named, I mean, a poem by a guy named Rudyard Kipling. And the white man's burden was the Christian's commission to go out under the doctrine of discovery and claim foreign lands of non-Christian peoples that they refer to as pagans. All pagan mean is that you are from Pangea. You one of the original children of the great Pan or globe, Africa, or Ifrak, which was the totality of the landmass. They be telling us we are from Africa. No, we not. We from over here, Africans from Africa, Indians from India. But they scramble the egg up by giving us this misleading and confusing information, so we don't know who we is, why we here, and what we doing. And as long as you don't know that, they're gonna keep you trapped. The world is under the Roman rule. America is a continuation of the Roman Empire because the Catholic Church is the Roman Empire. It just went from under the pretense of being the Roman state to being the Roman Church. The church is now the what they call a theocracy of the Roman Empire, that was initiated under Emperor Constantine. uh, um, this is not comedy, brother. This is the real deal. Kenny
Yeah,
D.
what happened?
Somebody, Kenny D say, is this freestyle for real or some type of comedy?
Nah, see, some of them never heard of it. So when you never heard of information like this, you really think it's just crazy talk, you know? Because a lot
Yeah,
of them is caught up in the mundane stuff. They don't know about this stuff here.
yeah. Africa
So I
wasn't
left.
named Africa till after the Berlin Conference when they divided the land up, and it was named after a Arabic term, Ifraka, which means the divided up of the land. That was done under the Berlin Conference. The original Romans were called Etruscans, and they was they migrated or got exiled out of Africa and crossed the Iberian Peninsula and settled Rome. Greece was settled by Egyptian priests who were also melanated.
Yeah, you talking about Sisu Rose. Sisu
Now,
Rose is the
Cicero
man.
went into the
He carved up
Congo.
Africa. Yeah.
He went in. He went into the Rhodes Scholarship Plan. That was a plan to take over the Congo.
Mm-hmm.
He was under King Leopold. King Leopold is the one who was holding the Berlin Conference. If I'm not mistaken, I have to go back and double check that. I ain't sure on that one.
Right. But when I left off, I left talking about the blacks in Rome. So you was dealing with the whites in Rome first.
Yeah, because they whitewashed all of the original emperors. If some of them, if you read their history, they tell you they came from Ethiopia,
Right.
right? They're telling you they was an Ethiopian Roman. That's the emperor. That's Ethiopia. Greek is Aethiops. They mean burnt face. So they had a burnt face person or a dark faced person that sat as the emperor over Rome. But then when they paint the picture of them, they Europeanize the picture in order to enforce the caste system by skin color. They want you to think all of the great people in the past was pale face.
How come nobody never talk about? I never heard none of y'all. No, none of y'all talk about the um, the Colosseums that they had in Africa. I always hear about the ones in Rome, but I don't hear about the ones that was in Africa.
I don't really deal with a lot of what's going on in Africa because I know we got Ibrahim Traore and them over there doing their thing. So I don't worry about Africa right now. I worry about where I'm from. Right. So I only bring up the history over there when it's directly weighing in on what's taking place over here. Right. The African Colosseums have no bearing on the invasion of the Americas. So I probably wasn't gonna never bring that up. Right? But at the same time, if it was a historical figure from taken from over here to fight in that African Coliseum, and then I might have to address that issue. Then I might be bringing it up. But other than that, I'm focused on what we call the reclamation of our homeland. right? So that's why you probably won't hear me bring up the African Colosseums. You on mute, sir.
What emperors of our people? What roles did black individuals play in ancient Rome society?
They were statesmen. They were law writers. They were the people that was teaching the people that they would later prop up as emperors how to be the emperor, how to play the part, how to look the part, how to act the part. They call it the civilizing of Europe. I know you've heard it 1,000 times. We civilized Europe. That's what they talking about. The creation of the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire conquered Greece, and then they used what they could from Greece, and they were a scholarly, artistic people, and they gave it to a warmongering group, right? So you got to go back to the story of Romulus and Remus, suckled from a wolf, right? So one of them was a scholar, and his brother was a warrior who he named Rome after. So they telling you what's taking place in what we call legend and folklore.
All right. Family, y'all ready for some questions? Y'all ready to come in? And remember, questions, man. Not debates, questions, y'all. Let's get I'm gonna let y'all engage with the brother with some of these questions. All right. So without any